Well, there's an old adage that says, believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. This has more meaning in today's world than ever before as we're bombarded with disinformation and misinformation, both online and in broadcasts from so-called news networks. Disinformation and misinformation are major threats to our way of life, to our health, to democracy, to our Constitution. So let's have a little closer look at what all this means. Well, Dictionary.com defines truth, misinformation, and disinformation in the following manner. Truth is a verified or indisputable fact, proposition, principle, or the like. Misinformation is false information that is spread regardless of intent to mislead. I'll put a flag on the second half of that definition because it'll be important later on. Disinformation means deliberately misleading or biased information, manipulated narrative, or facts, propaganda. So disinformation is untruths about anything that are knowingly, intentionally spread. Now, a quick review of disinformation versus misinformation. Disinformation is spread intentionally. Misinformation is spread unintentionally. Okay, so let's look at misinformation and disinformation. I kind of lump the two together because it's not always easy to discern which is being promoted. Now, while I understand governments, political rivals, and businesses using these tactics, as disgusting as it is, I really don't get why any individual would purposely disseminate information they know to be false, knowing it will cause harm to others. Heck, I even have some issues with those who pass on inaccuracies without first fact-checking them, as this is information when you do it this way. During the COVID pandemic, disinformation and the resulting misinformation promoting vaccine hesitancy caused higher numbers of COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, and as a result, a much higher health cost than what was necessary. Now, as an aside to this, senior citizens were disproportionately negatively affected by this particular spread of disinformation and misinformation. Disinformation can also come from seemingly credible sources. As recently as March 14, 2023, a CTV news item included the statement, 2 U.S. health agencies have published a letter warning that misleading claims from Florida's Surgeon General made about COVID-19 vaccines last month could be harmful to the public. Now imagine that. TV networks. Consider the networks that exist only to perpetuate disinformation. Why do they exist? Well, it's simple as I see it. They're there to pander to those who want someone to lend credence to their already fearful, racist, misogynistic, hateful way of thinking. Now, those so-called news networks provide the lies those people want to hear while, and here's the real reason for those networks to exist, they rake in millions, if not billions of dollars from their willfully ignorant followers. Unfortunately, they also manage to capture other hapless viewers who simply accept anything that's broadcast without doing their fact-checking, and then they spread it as misinformation. One of the reasons that misinformation is so harmful is because we receive it from people we know, and thus we tend to trust them. It's important to always use critical thinking. Consider the intent of the source and do your own research. Again, fact-checking. Be safe. And now for truth. Even this isn't clear-cut. A person's truth can be anything from something that can actually be proven and can pass the test of fact-checking or is scientifically recognized, to something that's based solely on faith or belief. Now, we all tend to hold on to our faith or belief truths very strongly. We do so regardless of any new information to the contrary. Conversely, science-based truths have a tendency to change when provided with new information. Now, to be fair, not all faith or belief truths have been disproven. However, many are simply figments of someone's imagination or fears, including my own, which is the reason I fact-check constantly. Again, I ask you to engage in critical thinking, do your research, and do it with an open mind and open heart. Okay, so let's see if we can make a connection between this discussion and our focus here at 8th Decade on senior citizens. Are elders more prone to being vulnerable to disinformation or misinformation? Or are we protected by what we believe to be our truths? Are our truths favorable to our well-being? Are we more subject to truths based on faith and beliefs than are those in the younger demographics? And there's so many questions. A study conducted in 2020 found that the difference in the ability to discern fake news from reality was comparable between younger and older adults. That's good. That's the good news. Now, one explanation is that while cognitive ability may decline with age also comes with a broader knowledge base and greater life experience. Also, older adults tend to absorb more news than their younger counterparts. But something that is important, though, is that the more elderly adults, like those who are 70 and older, like I am, seem to show a lesser ability to detect fake news. They termed this lessened ability as shallow information processing. Things like not looking closely or not paying attention to details. The findings were that as this process increases, the compensation from experience has less impact, and these folks are then left more vulnerable to deception. And this makes them prime targets for those who abuse information. Natalie Ebner, a co-author of the study and psychology professor at the University of Florida, is quoted as saying, "It's a particular high-risk population with high stakes for wrong decision-making, not just for themselves, but also for society at large." So, with this in mind, perhaps we can all remember to be caring and check on those seniors who may be led astray by disinformation and misinformation. Let's all just care for one another. Well, what do you think of the use of disinformation and misinformation? Leave me a comment. Drop me a message. Oh, and do like the video and then subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be notified when new videos are uploaded. In the meantime, please stay safe and enjoy your day. I'm wishing you peace, health, and harmony. Bye for now.